God, my forehead looks extra big today. Yes, I've brushed my hair lately. Anyway, so we're talking about the Fear Street trilogy. Now, I first heard about it probably I don't know, actually I think like a month or so prior to it come out. I know a lot of effects people, not personally, sadly enough, but a lot of the effects people I follow were involved, which was cool. So they were kind of like, hey, this thing I was involved in is coming out. And I was like, alright, well, it's a lot of good effects people, so even if I don't like it, it at least has some good effects. And then with Fear Street itself, I have a bunch of the books, I read Fear Street more than I read Goosebumps. Um, I was gonna say it, but I was like, that's gonna sound really cocky. But I've always read above my reading level, and then I just stopped reading. I guess once you reach so far above your reading level, you're just like, I'm done reading, and now I just watch a bunch of movies with my hair looking like this because I mowed the lawn today and my hair looks exactly like how my grass looks like. Anyway, so Fear Street, it's a three-parter. I'll go. Oh, jeez. God, am I stressed? My hair just came out. I'll go into spoilers later. So it's a three-parter. It goes through a story about a town, a rival, a town with the rival town kind of stuff. A lot of that, and then um, shit goes awry, and then it's all connected. Kate, we have to go back. A lot of that kind of stuff, and I fairly enjoyed it. I waited for all three of them to come out, of course, and then I watched one an evening, and they all got exponentially better. Either it's because after watching the first one, you kind of knew what you were getting into, and then as the stories progressed and stuff, you're like, okay, I know exactly these people who I'm with, and then you're more focused on the visuals. I don't know, but as it progressed, I just liked it more and more. Oh, one of the main things I wanted to mention with this three-parter trilogy thing is that this is how you learn to do a story that has inclusivity in it without being huh? I definitely talked about this when it came to the Craft sequel, reimagining, remake, re-fuck all thing, where in the Craft thingy-majigger, it really was I mentioned the whole, it's a checklist thing, we've got someone who's this ethnicity, and this body type, and a trans, it's we've got it, everyone, give us our reward, right? The inclusivity award, and that's, and then compared to Fear Street, where they do have a mainly POC kind of leads mainly, and it's also it wasn't bi, it's lesbian. I mean, all of us are everyone's bi. It's everyone's anyway, but it's very queer coded and all that stuff. But it wasn't again we've got the lesies, that kind of stuff, and it wasn't it wasn't just girls kissing, that kind of stuff. When it comes to other types of media, when they would do that, and they're yeah, we love them queers. Look, there's two chicks quissing. Yeah, that's how you talk. I'm tired. But this is a good example of how you have a diverse cast and all that stuff without being look, which again, all those other ones that I had issues with, that's what they did. It was it's they took time to be we have a, here's our checklist, boom, 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 boom. We've got a this, we've got a that, give us our reward, and again, I know I'm repeating myself, but that's where we're Fear Street, they just kind of these people are these people, and then we're just moving on, and that's how it's supposed to be. It's yes, these people, this person's gay or whatever, all that stuff. It's yes, they are, but we're focusing on the story. And when that comes into play, when the girls who are lesbian and stuff, when it comes into play, it does, but it's not just you know, when a character's not just like, that's my whole personality, it's just like, I am gay, and it's like, and, you know, or again, like, the character's like, oh, we have a character who's, you know, black or mixed race or whatever, and it's like the whole time it's because of that, you know, it's like, no, it's like, there's just, like, oh my god, these were, like, people, you know, how dare they? Anyway, so, again, that whole thing aside, I felt like I had to mention it because it's just, you know, there's been so much of this, like, overcorrective wokeness that a lot of people like to do, and I'm just like, you know, anyway, yes, anyway, the horror aspect of it, I really liked, you know, because it started off kind of like silly, you know. Initially for me, it started off kind of silly because it's like, okay, teens in high school or whatever, you know, like their life is, you know, hard or whatever because they're in high school, and then shit goes awry. Oh, it's so hard for you, you know. But again, like it worked really well, and then with like that, that's how I felt like, you know, going into the 1994 one, which was fine. I also had like, oh my god, talk about 1994 flashbacks. Like I was just like, oh my god, the soundtrack I love because again, shit I grew up with, you know, of course, stuff I still listen to this day. Spotify likes to tell me that all the time. Spotify's always like, how about these playlists of popular music today? And I'm just like, nah, I'm gonna stick to some stuff from the 90s and maybe some early 2000s. Maybe some stuff for current times, but gotta, you know, latch on to my youth because I'm dying slowly, just slowly decaying away here. Spotify suggested me, like, it was like a series of playlists, and it was like, the title was like, what was it, like, you are a young person on this app or something? I was like, hey. I'm just so... Anyway, so yeah, there was that. For the 90s one, it was just like, oh my god, like, oh my god, throwback, you know, that kind of stuff. Then when it went to the 1978 movie, it felt like it was like, what did I say on Instagram? It's what American Horror Story 19 whatever wanted, like, that season to be. Like, the whole, like, there's, like, they're all at a camp, and, you know, like, they're young and freaking sexual or whatever, and then, like, murder happens. Like, I feel like that's what that season of American Horror Story wanted to be, was, like, kind of like what this, you know, the second part of the series was, you know, which there was, like, you know, there was sex, there was, you know, romance, murder, you know, holy shit, what in it, you know, like, the you know, the, like, you know, the you know, the, I was not trying to give spoilers, I'm like, how do I, this was happening, you know, whereas that season just kind of, like, started off like, you know, this was like, ooh, you know, like, I was just like, okay, I'm with this the whole time. Also having their main person be, what's her name? I think her real name's Sadie. She was in Stranger Things, which was great because, you know, she's great at playing, like, an annoying bratty teen, you know, and I'm just like, you know, and I enjoy her work, like, you know, I've only seen her in, you know, like, Stranger Things and that, but I'm like, you know, you're fine as a person. And then culminating at the end with the 1666, which is like the start, you know, of the whole thing. I like that they went backwards in time. I did that, like, I did that? No, I didn't do anything. I did like that they did that, where they kind of went backwards in time, because that way, like, it's kind of, like, better to, like, you know, you kind of have, like, your end piece. You kind of Christopher Nolan it, you know? You get your end piece, and then you start going backwards in time, you're like, oh, fucking Carrie-Anne Moss, you bitch, you know? Like, so, anyway, I'm gonna go into spoilers. Like I said, I really like it. Just, like, watch it. If, you know, it's... The horror bits get kind of like, ooh, you know, like, it gets kind of gruesome. The effects are really good. It's definitely has, like, you know, old school slasher feels. You know, if you're a fan of horror, this is kind of like, I don't want to say, like, refresher, because it is, like, all the old tropes done, but it's not, like, again, it's not, huh? We made that reference, you know, that kind of stuff. It's fun. Like, that's what it felt like. It was just, like, it's fun. You know, watch it with some people, watch it by yourself, you know, it's fun. I think even if you're, like, you're not the, like, biggest fan of horror, I think you would enjoy it anyway, just because, like, the characters in the series are like they're people, you know, they aren't really like caricatures. I mean, like some might be a little bit, but at the same time you have to remember like they're teens, and you know teens are like extra. But anyway, yes, 1, 2, 3 spoilers. Anyway, so I love, like I said, I love that they went kind of backwards in time, 1994, 1978, and then 1666. But I love that, like, halfway through the 1666, I love that they were smart enough to kind of, like, give you the, like, the, I guess you would say the prequel, like, give you the beginning explanation of, like, where this whole, like, curse of the town shit comes in, and then makes you jump straight back to 1994. I love that, where it's like, okay, you know, you like, because you're thinking like, okay, 1994 ends with like the girlfriend is like possessed and shit, and it's like, you know, how do you end it? Like, what kind of, like, is it gonna be like a short epilogue? Like, okay, that's great, the girl's, you know, possessed, and then we go back to 1778, Jesus Christ, 1978, to see the shit before that happened, you know, I mean, that culminated, you know, and then you discover, like, the cave, and more of, like, the background of, like, possible witchcraft, and what's this all, wang dang dilly bop, you know, all that stuff, and again, it's, like, kids at summer camp dying, it's, like, awesome, you know, like, like, definitely that had very, like, you know, like, Friday the 13th number, like, 6, 7, you know, like, the ones where, like, Jason's starting to become, like, a zombie, like, you know, that, in that, you know, era, like, that kind of shit, and then, whatchamacallit, and then going back, then you go to, 1666, and it, you know, is right around the time where, you know, like, women are just being blamed for everything, you know, like, where it's like, witch, you know, and I made the joke saying, like, oh, wow, like, women are being blamed for something a man did, like, wow, okay, that's never happened before, and so, like, they're like, there's a witch in this town, she's a witch, hang them witches, you know, like, there was, like, that hysteria of, you know, the witches, it's a woman with her own thoughts, what, a witch, witch! God, there's a lot of songs that go like that, where you're like, the witch! But, you know, there's a specific one that I can't get into my brain. Anyway, just, yay, power metal. Anyway, so, it's like, you learn that, like, the whole witch thing is actually, like, this family, like, thing, like, you know, give your, you know, we're just dancing. We're just club dancing now. Anyway, it's just, you know, like a family heirloom. I guess you would say it's a family, but it's like a lineage of just, like, you know, these dudes, the good family, which I also love. Like you can get mad about this, but it's also, like, think about it, it's like, this is, you know, supposed to be for, you know, like, teens, YA kind of stuff, you know, so, like, yeah, they're gonna do something silly by calling the bad guy, you know, his last name as Good, and then, of course, like, having the line of, you know, the main character being like, good is evil, and it's like, ah! You know, it's like, of course, it's silly, but it's like, yeah, you know, and also, like, when he said his name, he's like, oh, my name is Nick Good, I was like, nope, I was already like, no, no, you know, like, if his last name was, like, Nick Wise, I'm like, you know, like, it would have been the same thing, like, if it wasn't, like, yeah, it's, again, it could be Captain Obvious, and you could just be like, oh, that's gonna suit, whatever, like, yeah, and I like that there was a lot of, like, parallels, like, a lot of stuff that they showed in the 1666 stuff, there was a lot of, like, mirrored stuff that you saw in 1994 and in 1978, which, again, good storytelling, you know, all that stuff. And then, yeah, so once you understand that part, and also what I love is that, like, a good amount of people play the same characters, in the subsequent thing. So, like, the two, like, you know, lesbian teens in 1994 were also, like, the two lesbians in 1666, you know, like, a lot of them were just there because also, like, the main lesbian, fucked up to say, but the main girl, kind of, like, is, you know, like, Vulcan mind melded into 1666, so, of course, she saw a lot of people that she knew, so, but I also think it's, like, smart really? You turn off and then I turn you back on, you turn off. Anyway, I also think it was smart to kind of do that because, again, you're already familiar with these faces. So then you see them again, and so you're, again, familiar with who, like, okay, this person, okay, I know I should trust them because I'm familiar with them previously. Like, again, that kind of stuff is very smart to do. Yeah. So once it, like, explains, like, this is how it started, okay, and then it was like, well, we don't need this anymore, let's go back to 1994, and that was great because then it's like, all right, we've got to save Sam, you know, and I like that they were like, okay, we've got a plan, we're gonna do it, and then they had a plan, they did it, and, you know, they saved it, and I love that, like, there's, you know, a lot of us who are fans of horror, especially us, like, queer people of horror, were, like, really happy. They were like, oh my god, there's, like, lesbians in a horror movie that, like, didn't die, you know. There was also people of color that didn't die because, like, the main group that survived was like 3 black people and like 2 queer people, and it was like, yes. You know, like, yes, we didn't die, we were part of, like, the trope thing, you know, it was like, yes. And it wasn't like they were just, like, the background people, like, oh, what do you mean the mailman, you know, he's black, and it's like, no, bitch, we're talking about the main characters, and the main characters who had, you know, like, involvement in, you know, killing and like, ridding the bad stuff. Like, they survived, and it's like, yes, you know, that kind of stuff. Yes, of course they got injured, because you can't be, like, fucking perfect and be like, I came out this unscathed, you know? But yeah, like I said, I enjoyed it. It was, like I said, it was lots of fun. Like, it just got better as it went along, you know? Like I said, it was fun. There was, like, a little bit of, like, I guess you would say sequel baiting at the end, because it's like, you know, like, you see, like, ooh, who took the book kind of stuff. Who knows? Maybe they just wanted to end it with that of a ooh, or because, you know, this did get, like, a lot of good press and a lot of people did enjoy it. Maybe there'll be, like, another one, like, you know, like, maybe, I don't know, maybe it'll be a 3-parter, maybe it'll just be, like, its own thing, you know, maybe they will do a series or something, you know, like, I don't know. I wouldn't mind if it just ends like this. I also wouldn't mind if they do, like, another, like, you know, 3-parter little thing, you know, like, once every other year, you know, like, don't drag it out too much kind of stuff, you know, like, know when to end. And I feel like that's a lot about a lot of things nowadays. But anyway, yes, so Fear Street, really enjoyed it. I have another, I watched last night, Gunpowder Milkshake, and I'll talk about that, like, another day. I'm just tired, because mowing the lawn makes you tired, because you gotta push the thing, and then you gotta turn, and you gotta push the thing, and then you gotta turn, and you gotta push the thing, and then you gotta empty the thing, and you gotta put the thing back, and then you gotta push it, and you gotta turn, and you gotta push it, and you gotta turn. You know, it's a lot of hard work for someone who hasn't had a job in over a year, you know. But anyway, yeah, so Fear Street Trilogy, yay! I bet everyone's seen it already, but